Okay, so what I want to do is create a frequency table, and for the purpose of creating a circle graph. Um, so here's my frequency table on most used social media in grade 7 and 8. This is all just fake results, nothing real about this. Um, okay, so first I got my frequency here, my data. I want to create a fraction. So my total number here of people that were surveyed is 49. So that is my denominator, 49. And my numerator is the number of people who chose that specific social media. So 4 out of 49 chose Facebook. 10 out of 49 chose Twitter, and so on. Okay. Now, actually, I'll just do the rest here. 14 out of 49, 12 out of 49, and 9 students out of 49 chose other, and that's where you get your, what's it called, tiki talk, talkie tiki, all that other stuff. Anyway, so now, and we'll explain why this is important. We need to convert them now to a decimal. Don't forget that this symbol here in a fraction means to divide. So I'm going to take my numerator of 4 divided by 49, and I get 0.08. I'm going to round to 2 place values after the decimal, so the hundredths column. So I get 0.08. 10 divided by 49 gives me 0.20. Okay. And I'll do the rest later, but I want to go over now how to convert that to percent, or hopefully just remind you guys. So decimal, remember, is out of 1. Okay? These are parts out of 1, whereas percent are parts out of 100. 100 parts. So that's why we need to multiply. When you have your decimal, you need to multiply by 100 to get something of 100 parts. So 0.08 times 100 will give you 8%, and 0.20 times 100 will give you 20%. Okay, I will go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll talk about calculating degrees. Okay, all right. So I got all this filled out here, and I added up all of my decimal values, and I got 0.99, which is 0.01 away from 1 whole. Ideally, you want to get 1 out of 1, but because we rounded some of these numbers, or I rounded, that's why it's slightly off. But it's extremely close. And same thing with percent. You add up the percents, you get 99 when you should get 100%, but that's just because of rounding. Okay, so calculating now degrees, and this here is what we need to calculate in order to, by hand, create your circle graph. So degrees, what is a whole in degrees, or what is your full circle? Well, your full circle is 360 degrees. That's the whole. So we're basically going to be calculating parts of this whole to graph. Okay. Now, yeah, you are going to be using the percent values to graph, to label your circle graph, but you can't use these values to actually measure the different sectors with a protractor. With a protractor, it doesn't go by percent, it goes by degrees. So we need to find what this percent is in degrees in order to accurately separate your circle into the sectors. Now, to do that, you take your decimal value and you multiply it by the degree whole, which is 360. So I'm taking all of these values and I'm multiplying it by 360 to get what my value is in degrees out of this whole. So for example, for Facebook, 0.08, I multiply that by 360. And I get a value of 28.8, and this is in degrees. We're converting to degrees because we're multiplying our decimal value to calculate a part of a whole of 360 degrees. So this is the size of the sector for this circle, or for the circle we're going to create. Okay. Same thing now for the rest. So for Twitter, 0.2 or 0.20 times 360, I get a value of 72 degrees. 0.29 times 360, I get 104.4 degrees. The YouTube is 0.24 times 360, and I get 86.4 degrees. And the last one, 0.18 times 360, and I get 64.8 degrees. All right, so that's how you get your degrees. I should mention, by the way, before I go to the next screen, I did add up all of my degree scores to see how accurate, how close I was to 360. But because of all the rounding, I add up all these degrees. And again, a lot more rounding. I got 356.4 degrees. So fairly close to 360. I will have 4 degrees off. Anyway, that happens. All right, I'm going to switch now to a screen where we're going to construct our circle graph. Okay, so I'm using GeoGebra here. So I got my a protractor, and what you want to do is when you have your circle drawn out and you've located the center of your circle, your protractor, you always want the middle of your protractor on the center of your circle. And then I'm going to start at any point. I got this little point D labeled here. So that's going to be my 0 degrees. Now, using this digitally, my protractor is going to move each time I enlarge it. Let's go back here. Almost there. Okay, so there's my protractor. So D is on 0 degrees, and you can go the other way if you want to go clockwise. My first measurement is 28.8. I'm just going to get my little point tool. In your case, you just use your pencil. And I'm going to measure up to 28.8. So I'm starting at 0, and there's 25. So 28.8 is approximately right there, and I'll put a little mark there. Okay, so I'm going to move my protractor off, and you guys again will be using your hand, and I will draw a line from my center. Well, first of all, my original sector, or my original point, and then I'll create my sector here. So that there is 28.8 degrees, and that is for Facebook. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for Twitter. So I'm going to move my protractor back on the center point, and I will rotate my protractor. I wish I can fix this at the center point. There's probably a way. I don't really know it. That's okay. Oops, I think I just moved. Let me undo that. All right. Oh, I just did it again. Hang on a second. Okay, so I fixed all that business. All right, so here's my protractor. I got it centered on the dot again. My 0 degree is on the line that I just drew for Facebook. So now that is now 0 degrees, and I'm going to measure 72. So I will wrap around my protractor. There's 70. This is 75. So 72 mark is approximately right there. So that's my 72 degrees. I'm going to move my protractor away, and I will draw in a line from the center to H, or to that point. And this sector here is my Twitter sector. Okay, so that's how you use a protractor. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to wrap it around. I'm going to pause it and do it for you, and then show you the results. All right. Okay, so I just wrapped around, made all the sectors. I did check my last one, and it was a little bit high. Again, I mean, you're probably more accurate just doing it by hand. Well, you'll be most accurate doing with some kind of computer application that'll do the circle graph for you. But this hopefully just shows you how to use the protractor. Anyway, I'm going to write my scores in. In a circle graph, you can write them on the outside or the inside. I'm not going to color this in for you, but it would be nice to color them in. So let me just label this. So this one here, and this first one was 28.8 degrees. Let me just check something out, see if I can get that degree logo. Yay, I found the degree logo, so I'll just do the next one here. This one is 72 degrees, 72. And it's right here. So there's my 72 degrees, and I'll just pause it again and I'll fill up the rest of the circle. Okay, so there you have it. That is how you create a circle graph by hand. Again, the important thing is here you need to get the actual measurement in degrees for that sector. To do that, you are calculating the part of a 360-degree full hole. So you take your decimal, multiply it by 360 to get your actual measurement in degrees. Okay? And then use a protractor to create it. All right, hopefully that helps.